So we're moving on to pulling all the interior out of the Jeep Wagoneer. Cliff, we spared you the expense of having to watch us pull out all that nasty old carpet and sound netting material out, but I just wanted to show you where we're at right now. So where we're at is we've got the interior all pulled out of the Wagoneer. You pull all that nasty stuff out, and then the first thing I like to do is vacuum all the dirt, sticks, leaves, acorns, whatever, and then just grab a bucket of water with a little bit of like purple power degreaser in it and just scrub all the dirt out. The more dust and dirt you can get out of the inside of the quarters, out of the little crevices, cracks, out from under the dash, the less like an old nasty vehicle it's gonna smell inside. So I guess I'm gonna tell you a couple steps to this process. Every interior in an old vehicle is gonna have little rust spots. Let me just kind of show you some stuff. So, like back here, this is where like factory seam sealer was. A lot of times under that seam sealer, there's a little bit of rust. You can see like little spots and speckles of rust. There was a little bit of surface rust back there. And then same thing, some surface rust, you know, around the wheel tub floor area. So what I like to do is take like a shop vac and run a shop vac in one hand and take a little scraper and scrape that stuff out with the other hand. What you're trying to do is get the rust out and treat the rust. So once you got all the seam sealer and all the loose, I call them barnacles, off the top, take like a wire brush, scrub the stuff with a wire brush, clean it really good, and then you need to treat the rust. You have that can of rust treater? Okay, so for this, like the subtle surface area or surface rust, you can use this. This is a rust treatment spray. You just want like one medium heavy coat of this stuff, and that'll change the composition of rust to where it stops rusting. If you've got some heavier stuff, like I would call this heavier rust, this is gonna need some POR. Again, I wire brushed that already, sprayed a little bit of rust treater. I'll leave that on there for 24 hours and I'll come back in here and I'll just take a little brush and I'll just dab POR in all those spots. Once POR is set up in that, or you can use chassis saver too, once that stuff's set on there for 24 hours, then you're good to top coat it. So you can take some red touch-up paint and you can touch up paint on the top of it or whatever, sound netting material on top, whatever you want to do. But I kind of wanted to just let you know what you need to do with a little bit of surface rust before you start putting carpeting back in. Another thing that's a giant pet peeve of mine is butyl sound deadener. What the purpose of this stuff is for is to stop metal panels from being tingy. Like that is not really tingy. That's not really tingy, but under here, let me move this one. Like that's actually got some like ting to it. Kilnmat, you know, DEI, whoever you use, Hush Mat, this stuff is made to take the ting out of it. So there's no ting there anymore. There is absolutely no need to put this over every square inch of the floor of the car. If you want your car to be quiet, then you need to use a sound barrier, which will be like, you know, you can get them at different thicknesses. You can get 3/8 all the way up to like, I think 3/4 of an inch thick, but that under the carpet is what will make the car quiet. So there is absolutely no need for you to go and cover every square inch of this car. Just go around and just listen for teeny spots. Like right there, I'm gonna put one in here under the carpet. So be selective with where you put that stuff. That way you don't spend $300 or $400 on that stuff when you should have been buying a sound isolation or soundproofing mat under your carpet. Anyways, I wanted to show you that, and I guess I'll just let you watch as we put the rest of this back together. couple more things about this type of sound deadening material. One is that the foil top of it, it can tear pretty easy. It's just foil. So if you take your thumbnail even and push in it, it'll tear. So if you're gonna be up in here like walking around a whole bunch doing wiring, don't put this down now. Like wait till after you're done wiring. Like if you're gonna go to upholstery after the car's running, put this in right before upholstery. That's why we're putting this in now, is because we're getting ready to put carpet in. Another thing is that the edges of these, you need to cover the edges. We border the edges of all these because in a couple years, this stuff starts to, well, right away, this stuff starts to like bleed out the edges. And when you put your carpet down, your carpet's gonna stick to the edges of this. So if you ever need to pull the carpet up to service a wire or something, it'll be stuck to this. So always border the edges of this stuff.
Hey, Mommy,
that's about it.
Yes.
Because you need to.
This is the aluminum tape. This is what we use to border around sound deadening pads. You can get this at any hardware store. This is what they use for HVAC ducting. All right, the camera kept shutting off on me during this install, so I have no idea how much of this I got, but I guess what I'll say is that I put Kilnmat wherever I thought that the panels needed to be deadened, wherever they sounded pingy or you know, needed to be more dull. So I got all those done, and then the factory had little pieces of black tape wherever there was a hole that wasn't in use. So maybe these were for bucket seats or something, and then these are for bench seats, but any other holes that had that old cloth tape on them, I peeled them off, cleaned up the floor, and then put, you know, this is some Gorilla tape back on those empty holes. And then yesterday I showed a little bit about wherever there was surface rust or wherever the old seam sealer was cracking and failing. I went ahead and scraped it all out, wire brushed the seam. I sprayed some rust inhibitor or rust treater on the bare metal, and then I etch primed it, seam sealed it, or actually I seam sealed it with bare metal seam sealer, came back over it with a little bit of metal etch primer, and then this is just some aerosol red paint that actually matches pretty good. So I did that this morning and then finished the Kilnmat. I got a little bit of Kilnmat on the back wheel wells, which were really tinny sounding. And so anyways, Kilnmat's done. This thing is spotless inside now. I've degreased it with water and then wiped it all out with a clean microfiber and clean water. And the rubber mats that are supposed to go all back here, I've got those outside and I wiped them down, but I forgot them outside last night, so I gotta wipe them down again, and I'll go ahead and throw those back inside so y'all can watch as I finish up the rubber matting. All right, here's this is the bottom side of one of the rubber mats that goes back in the cargo area. This is the coolest thing. You know how the back of pickup trucks or the back of this, you know, there's highs and lows, there's valleys in the floor. Well, look at this. This rubber mat has, you know, risers to fill in the valleys. So this will be cool for any of you that want to go camping or lay down in the back of your Wagoneer. It'll feel flat. So that's cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. It did get wet from sitting outside last night, so I wiped it all down again. And then I'm not going to put the stainless trim pieces back in the carpet cargo area. So I went ahead and put Gorilla Tape back over all the screw holes to keep moisture from coming up inside the truck. So anyways, throw this dude back in. Hey everybody, it's the Sunday again. Charlie and I are out here working on our Wagoneer just a little bit. We don't have a whole lot of time today. We've just got a couple hours to do a little bit of odd and end stuff to do on the interior of the Wagoneer. So one of the things that's easy that Charlie can help me do is the door opening seals. These things were trashed. They were the original seals on our truck, and since we're doing all this nice interior work, it was good timing. I guess as you can see, I didn't show you this already, but we got our carpet kit in. So Dylan will probably help me do this during the work week. That way we can get the steamer out and dedicate about 3 hours to get all the carpet in this. But anyways, Charlie and I are gonna, well, as you can see, we've already started on these door opening seals, but these were cool. These were ones that we bought from, I don't have the invoice out here, but we bought them from Team Grand Wagon Master. So it's Team Grand Wagoneer. I'm sorry, teamgrandwagoneer.com. They do have a ton of restoration products. More so than I thought anybody would, to be honest with you. Now you can't get everything for a Wagoneer yet. But more and more stuff's becoming available. So far I think we've got that door left to do. If you're not careful when you're looking for door opening seals, and even grandwagoneer.com, they've got two different options for these door seals. They've got these, which are the OE style with the pre-molded corners. This is what you want. You want these tight pre-molded corners to tuck up in the door openings, and then you trim them to fit. They also offer a much cheaper seal. This is just a universal seal like this, which is fine for a small radius or a large radius like that. You can push them in. But these perfect 90s, man, it would, well, you can see on that side, it's a perfect 90. And they just tuck in here perfect. And that's what you want. So anyways, we paid up, I think these are retail for about 75 bucks a piece. So we got these dudes in. Charlie, you want to quit goofing and help me get this one in? We'll put this in that rear door opening. You got all wrapped up, man. Okay. You want to hold the camera?
Yeah.
Okay, you can film me. All right, thank you. These dudes are pretty easy. I like to start at the very peak at the corner and work my way to the other pre-molded corner. And I just kind of wiggle it back and forth and push it up in there. You won't need any type of weather stripping adhesive on these. These things fit perfect. So again, put the pre-molded corner in. Work back towards your other pre-molded corner. And then just start working down each side. That's all the door opening seals. That one shuts good now. I just took my heat gun and just like slowly worked heat around this half of the door opening. That's generally where it's tight, is where there's the most leverage on the seal. So I just kind of worked my heat gun all around that, close the door. Now it's a little bit harder to close than it should be. But I closed it, it closed fine, and now I'll just leave it for a few days and the seal should start to take shape. This won't be good. These door seals are never good for, it takes a while. I mean, it'll take a few months of driving this thing and being outside in the heat and the weather and stuff to make them you know, real malleable and form But yeah, so really happy that these are in. Should be good for no wind noise and sealing out the water.